So, J. Ruud, what lovable book are we talking about today?
Well, Stacey Margaret Jones, I'll give you a hint. Ludwig van.
I don't know.
All right.
Welcome to Between the Covers, the weekly podcast in which author J. Ruud chooses and makes the case for one lovable book for his list of the 100 most lovable novels in the English language. And I, author Stacey Margaret Jones, talk to him about those books. And always the first thing we do is he gives me hints and I try to guess the book. Because I don't know what it is before we record. So I need another hint. Oh, wait. Have I read the book?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well,
You are
always gives
certainly
me,
aware of its existence.
well, I hope so, but it gives me a little cover. All right. Hint number 2, please.
Hint number 2, the Ludovico method.
Gosh, it sounds familiar. I don't know. Number 3.
Hint number 3, Alex and his 3 Droogs.
I don't know.
This is A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess.
All right. So I haven't read it, but I've seen the movie, so maybe that's why some of those things sounded un peu familiar.
Yeah.
Vaguely familiar. All right. So before we go into our usual battery of questions for this interrogation, when did this book come out?
This book was published in 1962.
Okay. And how long is it?
It's just shy of 200 pages. It's like 193 pages or something like that.
Okay. All right. So not too long.
No.
All right. Well, who else likes this book?
Well, I'll tell you.
Just the highlights, remember. Just the highlights.
This book is a little tricky because of the movie. A lot of people know the movie.
Yeah, I already referenced it.
Yeah, and the movie seems to glorify violence. Mm-hmm. And it's not completely fair to the novel because the book was published in Great Britain in 1962. When Burgess got an American publisher, the American publisher decided they weren't going to publish the last chapter.
Oh, my God.
Because they thought that the last chapter was too optimistic.
Boy, if that isn't mid-century modern, I don't know what is. However, you aren't answering the question, really, because I asked you, who likes this book?
I'm getting to that. When
All right.
Kubrick made the movie, he was following the American version.
Oh, okay.
Which meant that he left off the last chapter. And when it was made clear to him that the novel itself had this last chapter, he decided he was going to go with the American version anyway. And so the movie gave a kind of wrong impression to a lot of people about the wholeness of the book. Mm-hmm. The movie sparked a lot of copycat crimes in Great Britain, and ultimately on Kubrick's request, it was banned, I guess you could say, from being shown again in Great Britain.
In theaters?
In theaters, yeah.
Wow.
So there are people who don't like the book, but a lot of them don't like the book because of the movie.
Sure.
and they haven't actually read the book.
They're conflating them, or they're attributing things to the book that the movie was actually responsible for, so to speak.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or at least, most of the things that are in the movie are in the book, but it sort of gives the wrong final impression, I think.
Sure. And I think you can make a movie of something showing what's in the book and still really subvert a novel because that's how, film is a different art form.
Yeah.
So It depends on the translation, so to speak, from the page to film.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you said that Kubrick did know about the final chapter.
Yeah,
he just didn't.
He decided he didn't want to put it in the movie.
Wow. Interesting.
So anyway, now that I've gone around Robin Hood's barn to get to
That's what my mother's
to
saying.
answer the question.
You have gone all the way around
All the way.
Robin Hood's barn.
It's one of the most honored British novels of the past 75 years. It was ranked as number 65 on Modern Library's famous 100 greatest novels, number 68 on the BBC's list of the 100 greatest British novels. It was also named on Time Magazine's 100 greatest novels since 1923, and The Guardian's 100 best novels written in English. It was ranked 30th on NPR's top 100 science fiction fantasy books, 29th on the Daily Telegraph's top 50 books, and 27th on Waterstone's Books of the Century.
Okay.
And to show that its popularity remains high as ever, it was one of the 10 novels from the 1960s selected for the list of 70 books by Commonwealth authors named to commemorate Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee in 2022.
Which we attended.
Which we did.
We did attend. And at the end of our podcast today, we'll find out how you rank it.
We will indeed.
All right. That's what everybody's waiting for. So
they're holding their breath until the end of the
Please
podcast.
don't do that. Please don't do that.
We better talk fast.
We would like to give you a caution. Do not do that. So, can you win the harps of glory, or will you go down with the trombones of despair in your down and dirty summary this week?
We'll find out, won't we?
We'll find out right now.
All right. The protagonist and, as he calls himself, the humble narrator of the novel is Alex, a 15-year-old gang leader and sociopath. Mm-hmm. He's highly intelligent, he's witty, he's a big fan of irony, classical music, and sadistic mayhem. In the first part of the novel, he and his gang beat up a scholar coming from the library, rob a store and beat up the owner and his wife, fight a rival gang, terrorize a couple in their out-of-the-way country home, culminating in a gang rape of the wife. And then the next night, he and his gang rob and beat an elderly woman in her own home. But as Alex attempts to escape, he's captured by the police because he's been betrayed and left behind by his gang. He's sentenced to 14 years in prison because the old woman died that he beat up in that house. But he's given the option of taking part in an experimental treatment for behavior modification known as the Ludovico technique, which is a form of radical aversion therapy where they feed him nausea-inducing drugs while showing him ultra-violent images on film so that he ends up associating violence with sickness, and ultimately he's released from prison as a rehabilitated felon. But then things happen in the last part of the novel which hadn't been conceived of by those who thought they'd rehabilitated him.
That would be the trombones of despair. That was a plot summary, not a down and dirty. Like, what is the novel about?
Well, that's what it's about.
Well, I'm the judge, so I give you the trombones of despair. Now, you said, okay, so it's science fiction because of this aversion therapy methodology.
Yeah, it's a dystopian novel, really.
When is it set?
It's set in the near future.
Okay.
So it's...
they never say a year?
No.
Okay.
But it's not long after the time that it's written, I think.
Yeah.
I guess the aversion technique is a kind of advance in psychology.
Right.
But it's not like people have rockets or flying cars or anything like that.
That reminds me of...
Or even computers.
Yeah. Of Never Let Me Go, where it's science fiction, but it's completely contemporary. And in fact, a lot of the book is told about the main character's childhood. Yeah. Which it basically is like a branch of human history, like human history kind of branching off in another direction, because it's not future. I mean, what she's talking about is the past for the narrator. So it's not set in 2050 or something. It's set. She talks about a cassette tape she had as a child.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of times I think I labored under this, that science fiction was often futuristic, right? Because it was the author's idea that to make it believable, it had to be, later, right? For these things to happen. But I like that idea that you can just say, no, it's now, or it's already happened, right?
It's an alternate reality.
Yeah, exactly. So that's interesting. Well,
this is not really pictured as an alternate reality. It's just something that's
right.
It's something shortly to come, kind of. He sort of looks at contemporary trends of juvenile delinquency and stuff,
and explores society's response.
Yeah, it's particularly if it becomes a more serious kind of thing.
Well, and it's fascinating because the response to the novel was for it to become more serious.
Yeah.
Like people acting out the crimes.
Yeah.
Which is interesting too, because like people do those TikTok challenges, which obviously I'm an old person, so I don't understand them, but like there'll be these TikToks where people challenge other people to do things, and they can be funny, like just a pose on a street corner, or like having your husband pick you up from the floor by your foot or something, like just these little challenges. But some of them are dangerous. Some of them are violent. Some of them are, criminal, technically. So it sounds like it's kind of that human impulse, to replicate things like this.
Yeah.
Or to participate, right?
Yeah. And that is what happened with some of those copycat crimes.
Yeah.
If you've seen the movie, you will never listen to Singing in the Rain in the same way again. And one of the copycat crimes, the gang that was gang raping this woman were singing in the rape.
Oh,
so,
God. So it was obviously.
It was very obvious.
Let's do that.
Yeah. That looks cool.
Now, is this the movie that they use Czech in? There's some Czech words?
Actually, they're mainly Russian words. But I think you're thinking of this movie.
Because when I watched the movie, I was like, that's a Czech word. Oh, that's another Czech word.
I think they're actually Russian.
Okay.
Because, again, it's the near future from 1962, and I think they're probably thinking of Russian influence.
Wasn't Milos? I feel like Milos Forman was involved in the movie, and that's why I thought it might be Czech.
That I don't know.
Okay. Well, somebody can write and tell us.
If you've looked at the book and thought about reading it and then decided not to because, you read the first paragraph, and the first paragraph says, "There was me, that is Alex, and my 3 droogs, that is Pete, Georgie, and Dim being really dim. And we sat in the Korova milk bar making up our razudoks what to do with the evening. A flip, dark, chill winter bastard, though dry." The razudoks is the play on the Russian word for your mind. The language is called nadsat, and it's a mix of adopted and modified Russian words and words from some other languages like Latin, with occasional Cockney rhyming slang.
Sure.
And here and there, an expression that comes from the King James Bible.
Yeah.
So, friend is called a droog. God is known as bog. Your face is your lipso. That drug-doped glass of milk is a glass of maloko. To see is to vidi. That's the Latin, video. A girl is a devachka.
That sounds... Well, milk in Czech is mleko. Mleko.
Yeah, so it's probably related to the Russian word.
Yeah. Slavic.
Your head is a Gulliver, which is a play on the Russian for head, which I think is something like Golovo or something. But it's also mixed with Gulliver's Travels.
Right.
But that's your head. Your mind is your razudok. Your rookers are your hands. horror show is the ironic slang word for good. It was a real horror show. And Burgess is kind of being prescient, anticipating the use of bad to mean good, or sick to mean good.
Well, yeah, and that happens a lot with slang that you get. You use the opposite as an honorific, so to speak, or as a compliment.
Yeah,
It's so good it's bad.
Money is called cutter, which is a Cockney rhyming with bread and butter. Mm-hmm. And a chaplain is called a Charlie, after Charlie Chaplin. And our narrator protagonist, Alex, will sometimes address his readers with the expression, "Oh, my brothers." So the language is just something that Burgess kind of was playing with as a futuristic slang, because especially for teenagers, slang changes very fast,
as we know.
Yeah, and here's whatever that means.
Well, as I have said many times, I think it's an absurdist expression for an absurdist era. So we're talking about why it's lovable. I mean, is that one of the reasons you love the novel? Is just the language?
The language is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I think it's such a cool idea that, Tolkien made up language, whole languages. But I love the idea that he's saying, okay, we're not going to use the slang we use now. What will the slang be based on what the current kind of trends are in our lives? Like, if those trends continue, how will that trickle down into, common vernacular, so to speak?
Yeah.
And that's as a writer, it sounds really fun.
Yeah, it had to be fun writing it.
And that is, when writers have fun, it's often fun to read.
Yeah. That part is fun. I'm not sure a lot of it is fun.
No, it doesn't. It sounds really upsetting.
It's pretty upsetting, yeah. The film makes it graphic, which you kind of can escape from in just reading it.
Well, it depends. Sometimes you can't escape those things. Sometimes those things are worse when you're reading them because you're creating it in your mind. Whereas in a film, you can kind of look away. There's a distance.
Yeah.
So it depends.
Yeah, I suppose. The violent scenes in the beginning part, they're pretty chilling in the movie. They tend to put you off of Alex. Are you going to root for this guy?
Right.
And yet you kind of do a little bit when his friends, his droogs, set him up to get caught by the police. And then when you see him in prison and this really is a kind of torture. He's sat in a chair. He's been shot with what they tell him are vitamins, but it's this nausea-causing medication. And they tell him, all you got to do is sit and watch movies, which he thinks is, well, I can do that. It's going to be easy to get out of here. Because he's going to have like the last 12 years of his sentence
commuted.
Yeah, if he does this. But they strap him into the chair. They have these things on his eyes that hold his eyes open that he can't look away from what they're showing him.
That does sound like torture.
Really grotesque stuff, both violent it's all violent. And some of it is sexual. So he doesn't want this to happen to him. So he keeps saying, "Oh, I'm cured. I'm cured." But they just keep doing it for a couple of weeks.
Right.
Until he really is sickened at the thought of violence. Right. It's a development from the idea of negative reinforcement.
Does the novel go into at all why he's a sociopath?
No, you don't. You don't know. He has parents who seem to be decent enough, although they aren't real hands-on, let's say.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have a lot of really strong adult looking after, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's out with his droogs every night doing something. and the parents don't know what, and probably don't seem to want to know what, because they probably suspect what he's doing.
Yeah.
He has a parole officer because apparently he's been in trouble before.
Shocker.
Yeah, shockingly. And he's at a special school. But the parole officer is just kind of this sarcastic guy who sort of knows what he's doing and, warns him not to do it. But basically he's just doing his job. And when Alex finally does get caught again, he's like, well, I tried to help him. Didn't work. So he doesn't have any very good guidance.
Right.
The one adult that he kind of connects with, who might have been some help to him, is the chaplain in the prison. Mm-hmm. He becomes kind of the chaplain's helper because he's trying to, put on a good show of, and be a model prisoner so that he doesn't get beat up in prison or doesn't get worse sentence because he's acting up. Anyway, the Charlie, the chaplain, says, what they're doing to you really is not that good of an idea, I don't think. The chaplain tells him this.
It may not be nice to be good, little 6655321. It may be horrible to be good. And when I say that to you, I realize how self-contradictory that sounds. I know I shall have many sleepless nights about this. What does God want? Does God want goodness or the choice of goodness? Is a man who chooses the bad perhaps in some way better than a man who has the good imposed upon him? Deep and hard questions, little 6655321.
Yeah, that really is the central question of the novel. The novel's about, juvenile delinquency. The novel's about violence and the acceptance of violence. But
isn't it also about state control?
And it's about state. Yeah, ultimately it is, because this method has been developed by the government.
Right.
And they want to show off Alex afterwards as a kind of model prisoner. Here's this guy used to do all this stuff. Now he wouldn't think of doing it.
It's
all because of us.
It's always bad news to be the human symbol of something.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
He becomes that in the third part of the novel.
Yeah.
But the biggest question in the book, it's rooted in the question of why do we have evil in the universe if we have a benevolent God?
Right.
And why are human beings created with the tendency to choose evil?
Right. So the value of good is that you chose it, not that you were made to do it.
Exactly.
Is it also a response in the Cold War Europe to the autocratic rule of Soviet Russia? The party line literally is that, communism we all share, right?
Yeah.
But is it good that you're sharing if you're made to share?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that probably is part of the motive behind this depiction. Mm-hmm. But that question is, does God want good, or does God want the choice of good? Is what Alex is afterwards, is he even human anymore? Mm-hmm. He doesn't have the choice to choose either good or evil. He doesn't have the choice to be a good person.
Pre-programmed nerve.
Yeah, he's basically a robot.
Yeah.
And he knows that. Ultimately, it takes him a while to realize this is what he is. And he, toward the end of the book, he is thinking about doing away with himself.
Suddenly I viddied what I had to do and what I wanted to do, and that was to do myself in, to snuff it, to blast off forever out of this wicked, cruel world. One moment of pain, perhaps, and then sleep forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
Because he has no real sense of self, right? His self has been, reprogrammed.
Yeah.
Reformatted.
The one positive thing about him, or maybe the most positive thing about him, even when he is ultra-violent 15-year-old, is that he loves classical music. And he describes his reaction as he's listening to Beethoven, his favorite, who he calls Ludwig van.
Oh, okay. Oh, it was gorgeousness and gorgiosity made flesh. The trombones crunched red gold under my bed, and behind my Gulliver the trumpets three-wise silver-flamed. And there by the door the timps rolling through my guts and out again crunched like candy thunder. Oh, it was wonder of wonders. And then a bird of like rarest spun heaven metal, or like silvery wine flowing in a spaceship. Gravity all nonsense now, came the violin solo above all the other strings, and those strings were like a cage of silk round my bed. Then flute and oboe bored like worms of like platinum into the thick toffee gold and silver. I was in such bliss, my brothers.
Yeah. This is the most human thing about him.
Right.
This love of the beauty of the music. And when they're torturing him with the Ludovico method, they play Beethoven's Ninth Symphony in the background. So that becomes associated with the violence and the sickness.
They ruin something good that he loves for him.
That's taken away as well. So all of his humanity is kind of taken
But you
away.
have to, I mean, I'm not advocating for this, obviously. But when he was a human being, he made the lives of others horrific.
Well, yeah.
I mean, he was an instrument of terror and death.
Yeah. Which is why the question that's raised in the novel is hard to answer.
Because there's actual stakes involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he actually better doing that than being an automaton without choice?
Well, I guess in this case, what's good for the individual is bad for the community. What's bad for the individual is better for the community.
Yeah.
But
which is why the government thinks it's a good idea to do this.
But also, I mean, that gets into another whole thing, which is restorative justice. And does it restore the community to obliterate the motherboard, so to speak, of specific individuals? Over time, is it really restorative? I mean, it's kind of a shorter term restoration, right? Because this person who was dangerous is not dangerous anymore. But then when you have all these people out there being kind of psychologically obliterated, is that really going to restore, right?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting question because you've got these dual goals, right?
Yeah. And he becomes sort of the face of, the new modern penal institution.
Right, right.
But then there's this group of people who are against the government, who think it's a terrible thing what they've done to him. People who would agree with the chaplain. And they get a hold of him after he's out, and they want to make him their poster boy. Here's a boy who's been put under this torture that the government is calling restorative. It's about then that he gets into this, I got nothing left to live for.
Right.
But as I said, there are 21 chapters in the original.
Right.
In the novel as Burgess wanted to publish it and did publish it in Britain. And there are only 20 in the American version, which, by the way, all newer publications of the book in America include the 21st chapter.
Yeah, geez, I would hope so.
In the 21st chapter is Alex as an adult.
Okay.
And the number 21 was deliberate because
I love that.
This is the age at which you officially become an adult. This is Alex as someone who's kind of finally reached adulthood.
That's what it's going to be then, brothers, as I come to the like end of this tale. You have been everywhere with your little droog, Alex, suffering with him, and you have viddied some of the most brajnis, dirty bastards, old bog ever made, all on to your old droog, Alex. And all it was that I was young. But now as I end this story, brothers, I am not young. No longer. Oh, no. Alex, like, growth up. Oh, yes. It reminds me of Lewis Carroll a little bit. The
language.
The kind of associative sounds. Also, it is pronounced droog because if it were Dutch, it would be droog.
Yeah. Well, I assume it's droog.
Yeah. Is it droog in the movie? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
The thing is, all Alex really needed was to grow up. He didn't need to be tortured.
Well,
Reaching adulthood has made him realize what's actually good and bad.
That is fictional, I guess, because if you have a personality disorder that profound, I don't know if you're going to grow out of it.
Well,
he
does actually, and there are things that happen toward the end that I don't want to spoil, but but that at least that's Burgess's point. I think
it's his novel, and he gets to make. Also, though, that goes to an issue I think we have in the United States is when a teenager is charged with a crime that's particularly heinous. People are so eager to charge them as an adult, and I'm like, just because the crime is super terrible doesn't make them older. Right? There are reasons that we have laws about charging juveniles and charging adults.
Yeah.
And it's because your brain doesn't really mature until 25 or so. So just because the crime is really upsetting to you doesn't make that person's brain 25 years old.
Yeah.
And this happens all the time. Well, he murdered 2 people. He's 15, so we're going to charge him as an adult. And it's like, that is not an appropriate response. Right? I understand the urge of it.
Yeah, in fact, you just argued the other way yourself.
Yeah. I know. I'm saying I understand that.
Yeah.
But we do that all the time.
Yeah. And the American publisher decided that he was going to be one who does that all the time.
Yeah.
And the British publisher was one who decided, well, children are still children until they're grown up.
It is a fact.
Yeah. So, again, it's one of those difficult things about the questions that this novel raises.
Yeah, I love that.
But Burgess had a little more optimistic idea of it than Kubrick did.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, anything else lovable about it before we move on?
No, I think I'm probably done there.
One thing that sounds appealing to me about it is that it sounds intense, so it's probably good that it's short.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like you couldn't take it for too long.
I don't know if this was 400 pages of this, it would be much harder to read.
That seems a lot. So why might people not like this novel? I think we may have covered it, but why don't you...
They might not like the violence.
Yes.
They might not like the fact that he does ultimately, no.
Watch out.
I don't think you could say he got away with things. In fact, one of the things that makes his life miserable once he gets out of prison is that people are still mad at him and want to hurt him for things that he did before he paid his debt to society.
Right.
In fact, one of the people who's with the group that wants to use him against the government turns out to be the guy that he beat up in the first night, who had the wife that they gang raped.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't recognize Alex at first, but ultimately he does. But Alex recognizes him. And one of the guys in the rival gang that they fight has now become a policeman, along with his old droog. And they want to beat him up instead of just arrest him and bring him down. So they beat him up. They beat him up because other people are fighting with him because they recognize him as having done this stuff before. So he's getting beat up by this crowd. The police come, they take him away and arrest him. Mm-hmm. And then they beat him up. So
is that why you might not like it?
There's a lot of violence.
Yes.
And even the reformed Alex gets in a whole lot of violent trouble.
Sometimes the problem with that, if it's just so much, it causes you as the reader to just kind of distance yourself from it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so constant that you just kind of respond to it as if it's cartoonish, when what the writer wants is for you to have an intense, response to it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. All right. Well, where...
and some people are turned off by the language, although I think once you get into it, you find it fun, but it's a little hard to read at first when all these words are being thrown at you that you don't understand.
Just let it wash over you.
Yeah.
And you'll pick it up.
I never talked about what the title means.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you, actually.
There's two references to it in the book. One is that writer who recognizes Alex at the end and whose wife is attacked in the beginning and she ultimately dies. He is writing a book, the title of which is A Clockwork Orange. But we get more of an explanation of it later. An orange is something natural. Clockwork is something that's mechanized, mechanical. After he's had his
I was going to say, yeah.
Alex has become a Clockwork Orange.
Right. He's organic matter, but he's run by a machine, so to speak.
Yeah.
Some kind of mechanism.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that's cool. Okay.
So that's what the title means.
It's kind of a psychological uncanny valley, right? Because he's human-like and yet not quite human enough.
Yeah.
Which is unsettling.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, where do we rank this?
I'm going to
lovable, upsetting novel. Upsetting, a lovable novel.
Beautiful. I'm putting this at number 50.
Oh, okay. So what's before it and what's after it?
It's right after Brave New World. And it's right...
okay. That tracks.
And it's right above A Farewell to Arms.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Oh, that would be an interesting book club series. All right. Well, that's awesome. That was interesting. I've never talked that much about the book before. So,
and here it seems to be time for Chaos Reader.
All right. So this year, Chaos Reader is going to be checking in on books a lot because I'm going to be reading longer books, as I think I mentioned. So I'm still reading Gerald R. Ford, An Honorable Life by James Cannon. And I really am enjoying it. I've stopped scrolling on my phone at night to wind down. I decided I would start reading again before bed. The problem with it is, though, that I really can read about 3 or 4 pages, and then I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired. But I guess that's fine. I do read throughout the day. Like when I take something off my to-do list, I'll read 2 or 3 pages just to kind of clear my mind and get myself ready for the next thing on the to-do list. And so I'm on page 150, looks like. And he's getting confirmed because Ford is in the very unusual role of not being elected. He wasn't on the presidential ticket because Spiro Agnew was elected vice president with Nixon. And then Agnew was out because he had taken bribes basically his entire public office career. Good job. And
well chosen. They certainly vetted him
good job. So the constitutional amendment about this line of succession had never been tested in this way because by the time Agnew resigned, people were pretty aware that Nixon was not going to last. And he had the opposition party in Congress, which is what we find lacking in today's situation. So the Senate and the House were, probably going to get rid of him. And they felt that because Ford had not been voted on by the American people, the House had to confirm him as well. And if you know about U.S. government, the House does not confirm nominees. The Senate does that. So this was the first ever, I think, House confirmation of someone named to public office. And boy, I mean, they talked to his college football coach. They ran down why there was a flag once on the play for unsportsmanlike behavior. But I think that kind of shows you that they could not find anything about this guy. He was really just a really good guy.
But it also shows you that they weren't going to have another situation like Agnew.
And Nixon.
They're going to know, but...
They knew what was happening with Nixon. They just didn't know anyway.
But Nixon had nominated Agnew as his vice presidential running mate, and apparently nobody had looked into his doings in the past. So they were looking really close.
Right. Also, there was a kind of, it wasn't widely popular, but Bella Abzug wanted to slow down the clock on the confirmation of Ford so that once Nixon was out, the Speaker of the House, who was a Democrat, would arise to the presidency. The Speaker of the House, I can't remember his name, Roberts. He did not want this. He was like, I don't want to be president. I like being Speaker of the House. The American people did not vote for the Democratic ticket. They would absolutely reject this. Like, this is not good. But there were people in Congress who were like, let's run out the clock on the confirmation. And then when Nixon has to go, we will hold the presidency. So there was also this conflicting, machinations happening while they were examining every little thing that he ever did. So it's really interesting right now because he's getting confirmed, which obviously, spoiler, he gets confirmed as the vice president. Also, I think he's it's like, oh, little grasshopper. Every time Nixon tells him that he's innocent, he believes him. And that now he's starting to get more like, maybe you are not telling me the truth, because more things are coming out, more press are following the story and pursuing the tape. They're trying to get the tapes. He fires the special counsel because he doesn't want to turn over the tapes. Nixon has the special counsel fired. And the attorney general quits because he won't fire him. Then the assistant attorney general gets fired because he won't fire him. And then guess who goes ahead and fires him? Robert Bork, a failed nominee for the Supreme Court. That is, if you've heard that name before,
what's his official capacity?
He's some under something, ombudsman something. And so he's the one next in line, right? After the attorney general quits and the assistant attorney general gets fired, then Bork is next in line and he's like, yeah, I'll fire him. So he did it. Anyway, this has gone on too long, but that's where I am. And this is really interesting. And Ford is the kind of politician I think we all need more of, because even if you don't agree with him, he isn't partisan when he feels there are different, when something is right or wrong, and he works with both sides, and he's a get things done guy, and he's honest, I think he's a good faith dealer, and so far. So it's a very interesting book, and I'm really enjoying it. And I wish there were more pictures in the book, honestly, because I've noticed the only pictures in this book are from when he's like president. And I'm like, what did he look like when he was young? What did young Betty look like? Like, what were their kids look like? Like, I was really interested. That's one of the reasons I like reading the presidential biographies, because I like learning about their whole life, So that's the critique I have so far. Anyway.
All right.
You'll be hearing about it again.
Okay. I guess that does it for this episode.
Yes, thank you to our viewers and listeners. And please, as we say, please like, share, comment, review. It really helps us a lot because we're independent and we have a small but slowly growing fan base. And you, if you are sharing our podcast and telling people about it and commenting, etc., that is helping us. So we really appreciate all of that. And even if you are not a big YouTube watcher, if you have a YouTube account, just go over there and follow our account. That helps us a lot too. So we'd like to thank our producing sensei and creator of our YouTube art, Jerry Bruno, who helped us learn how to do this. Any day now, we'll figure it out. And we'll see you next week.
Between the Covers.